Alright, hello everyone, how are you guys doing? Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Today we're here with another video, and you guys may have seen some like these in the past on my channel. This is going to be me going over 6 of my favorite high volume items to invest in at the moment. I'll go on to explain why I think these items are good to invest in, and basically the potential that these items have. I like to give you guys a decent amount of ideas as far as different items to invest in, so you're not all running towards the same item. Since these are high volume items, more than likely this video won't generate a whole lot of these items to shift too much in price, which will be really nice. The main reason that is because you can't buy, say, 100 mil worth in the matter of seconds. GE limits restrict you from doing that, and will cause you guys to have to kind of sparse out your GE slots throughout the next couple days or weeks, depending on how much items you have. And in addition to that, there isn't a whole lot that can happen drastically right now that will change these items. They're going to be more of a long-term type of flip, or merch, I guess, in this case. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I try to say this before every video that I make like these. A lot of people think that because I'm telling people what to invest in, I'm personally invested into it, and this is more of a merching scheme. If you know me, I'm not that type of person. That's not something I'm going to do. It's morally wrong, and I don't even tell people in my clan chat what to invest in because I think that it's not good. I don't want to incentivize that. It's scummy. So in an attempt to show that, I'll show you guys my bank. It's worth 80 mil right now. Nothing in it as far as the items I'm talking about other than what you'd have in any bank, I guess. And I have 700 mil cash, and you know, I can't buy 700 mil worth of these items in the time it takes me to upload this video. So while I do try and say that every video, I know some of you guys will still think that, and some of you guys will still post that. That's fine. Just, you know, I try to do what I can to ease the minds of some people that may be on edge. With that said, though, let's go ahead and get on into the items. I have 6 here today, but I will kind of talk about other opportunities other than the particular 6 that I have. So this is where we will be spending a majority of this video. This is a website called GE Tracker. I'm sure you've probably heard of it from other Twitch streamers or other YouTubers in general. This is a website in which you can go on and really check out a lot of the prices in game and find a lot of really useful graphs. This is what I use personally, and they're a sponsor of mine. If you want to check them out, they'll be in the links down below in the description. But yeah, that's the site I'll be using to talk about mainly throughout this entire video. The first item, let's just go ahead and start off with it, is going to be sharks. Particularly raw sharks, because in this instance, I think they're just, I mean, they're the lowest, but really, you could buy regular sharks too. It doesn't really matter. If you buy raw and regular, you could actually up the 4-hour limit of the amount you could buy if you want to. But for all these items, I think we'll just start by looking at yearly graphs, because I think that's a really good telltale sign. Whenever I find items that I like to also find items that are low at the current price compared to where they usually are, along with other added factors that are going to be really a big factor on the end price that I think they could be. So the overall price of sharks on a yearly scale, a year ago this time they were worth 830 GP. As you can see, going into the summer they rise to about 1.1k and continue to stay close to around that price. Now over time, a lot of food has seen this pretty decent progression of just generally going downwards. Now you can also say that this could be relative towards minnow fishing as well, but for the most part every single type of food has this, and really this is where the food graph comes into play. GE Tracker does have some market watch type stuff with indexes on food that shows the overall price of a lot of different types of food combined. And as you can see, over the last year, they've went from what is 102 on the index all the way down to what is 70 at this point, and then up to 76. This recent spike, I think, is due a little bit to Ceridome brews for the most part, since everything else in the list really doesn't have much of a reason to be going up at the time. All in all, as we can see on the yearly scale, this is obviously just a huge drop, like just absolutely insane, but it does kind of make sense. Botting's obviously a little bit more prevalent as well, which is a big factor on this. And really, Jagex does try to combat bots whenever it starts to get out of hand and whenever it's really noticeable in game, and food is just a really easy way to find that, since fishing is one of the most easily bottable skills. Raw shark being one of the most common and one of the best food in the game, only being 460 GP is a pretty good sign of where the game's at currently. And so I think going forward, Jagex is going to try to combat this in a couple different ways, mainly through bots. In addition to this, you could say that maybe just more people are fishing, but really with the way the game's heading, people are making more GP per hour doing almost anything in game, and so to think that more people would be incentivized to fish over this time really doesn't make any sense, and actually would work counter to what that would be. Overall, as far as the current price, as you guys can see, it's about 465. The potential future price, while it, you know, it does say 1,000 here, I really don't think that it can get back up to that point at all in the near future. I think that food in this game is just coming in too quick for it to be able to recover like that, but I would say something like 650 could be a potential high that we could see in the future, and the lowest that you could see for something like raw sharks, I honestly couldn't see them going anywhere below like 375. I feel like once you get down that low, there is just so many different different types of food in the game, that they're going to hold their value. So I think with this and a lot of other ones in this video, it's pretty low risk and pretty high reward overall compared to where it's at currently. Now I will try to keep a couple of these short since I do tend to ramble, just because I want to try to explain as much as I can why I think stuff is going to do what it does. The current price of attack potions is about 270 you could buy them for, and if we look on a yearly scale, here is an item that just happens to go up and down quite a lot, as you can see here, peaking at 482 and then dropping to 250 in the matter of what seemed to be a little over a month. So obviously this is something that's very volatile and just goes up and down drastically because, I mean, super attack potions are always useful in games, so if there are outside factors playing into it, people are always going to buy them, no matter if they're worth 500 GP or 250. Demand for this item is always going to be prevalent, and as the item gets lower and lower, the overall risk compared to reward just gets better, because as you can see, it has a general trend to be able to spike at times, and as far as going lower and lower, once you hit about 280, it's hard to go much lower than that, and the overall potential gain is a lot higher. On this, it's really hard to be able to tell what makes this stuff spike, because really the only input price here is just Irrit Leaves. So these really do just coincide with Irrit Leaves and overall GP per XP of Herblore at the time. But to be able to buy something like this at 280 GP or 260 GP around there, I do think is a really, really good investment, because as you can see, as little as just a month ago, they were 320. I think a very easily achievable price is close to 350. You could even get upwards of 400 depending on what goes on in the future. But I'd say 350, 360 is easily achievable. And as far as the lowest, I think that they could end up stabling out at would be like 210. Overall, in my opinion, it just seems like a lot more reward to the risk that you're going to have to take with this item. Next up is an item that I've been talking about for ages to people. I really just think that Dragon Bolt tips are a long-term good investment. Now the problem here is it really will take time to be able to see how this turns out. This won't be a flip that goes up in the near future, I don't believe, but it's something that's just really, really good. Personally, 235 GP per Dragon Bolt tip at the moment. Basically, the way that Dragon Bolt tips come into the game currently is pretty much through Vorkath. Before Vorkath, though, they came into the game through cutting Dragonstones, and the way that that works is pretty much every Dragonstone, you end up getting 12 of these. Dragonstones at the moment are about 12k per one, and if you get 12 of them, that means each one of these, if they were cut from Dragonstones, would be worth close to 1,000 GP. However, currently, because they are coming into the game at such a rapid pace from Vorkath, they are 235, and really, this is just, it's so low, I don't really know how it goes much lower than this, and at some point in the future, whether or not it's a Vorkath changing of a drop table, Vorkath becoming less prevalent within the game, or Dragon Bolts just getting a added upgrade or use within the game, these things could easily shoot up to 900 GP, and to be able to make 4 times what, or I guess make 3 times what you invested into it, is just a really, really high upside for the potential risk. So yeah, those are some of the reasons. In addition to that, Jax has mentioned stuff about a glory sink potentially in the game. A glory sink would then directly impact the price of Dragonstones, which would then directly impact the price of this. Now, at the time, since they're not made from Dragonstones, and it's not necessarily true, but if they ever are made from Dragonstones primarily, then it is going to be true. And that's kind of what you're banking on in this case anyways. Overall, currently, the price, as you can see, is about 230 GP, depending on when you buy it, looking at the daily graph. On a monthly graph, they have been going up and have gone up about 10 GP, which obviously isn't a lot. But if we look, I guess, and I haven't even done this yet, on a yearly/quarterly scale, this is really, I guess, where you see it, because up here, 1.4k a pop, Vorkath comes out, all the way down to what is 230 at the lowest, and you can still get them for about that price. So personally, really huge upside. I personally think the lowest that they could go in the future is maybe 200, but honestly, if the lowest they dropped when people are doing Vorkath massively is 230, I think that's really the lowest they can continue to stay at. So I think you're buying at the absolute lowest, and as far as potential future price, I think realistically, without anything going on, they could easily reach 300 to maybe 350, but they have the potential upside of maybe even hitting stuff upwards of 1,000 depending on use in the game and whatnot. Next up, we have Crush Ness, and this is just one by looking at the graph that you can see why I really, really do like this one. Again, this is a Vorkath drop, which is why I'm also encouraging investing in that. That'll be a constant theme throughout this episode, and so as you can see, I mean, last year at this time, 7K, not really an achievable price, just really high at the time. They ended up dropping to close to 4.2K, and over time they settled out at about 4 to 4.5K, somewhere in there, averaging out probably about 4.4K. And then as soon as Vorkath comes out, they drop from 4.4 to what is 3.2K. Now at the time, they are actually 3,800, so they've gone up a lot since then. I told people even at the time to invest because it just made sense, and I still do really think that it is a good investment, because going forward, I think Sarah Brews are also going to be more useful than they were in the past, causing the price of Sarah Brews to rise, and this is an input ingredient for Sarah Brews, so you would think that the price of this would rise as well. I've actually had someone reach out to me on Twitter and talk about how Raids 2 is actually going to be less skill-based, and so you're going to have to take more stuff in with you. Since that's the case, you'd assume a lot of food's going to have to be used, and that's going to mainly come in the form of Sarah Brews. And so you'll have a lot of people with pretty high demand for Sarah Brews overall, which will cause these to go up, along with the fact that they are currently on the Vorkath drop tables. That's some of the logic there. I've already covered why I really do like Vorkath drops, so I don't feel like I need to talk about that much more. Overall, the current price is about 3,700 depending on the time you buy. If we look at a daily scale, I guess closer to 3,800, and potential future price probably about 4.5K where they were before, because I do think with the added necessity of brews, it just makes sense. And as far as the lowest, I think they could go maybe 3,300. I mean, these are always going to have a lot of demand, and Vorkath's never going to be as farmed as it was at the beginning. Next up, we'll take a look at oak planks. This one is just going to be one that is mostly because it's very cyclical. Oak planks are pretty much set in stone at the price they are, just due to bots and a lot of factors within the game. But overall, if you look on a yearly scale, you can kind of see how they play out. At times where construction's more prevalent and people want to go ahead and do it, they end up absolutely spiking. And then at times where it becomes less prevalent and more bots are in the game, they go down. So here you can see a decent fall. They hit about 406 GP. They rise back up. Again, another fall. This one a little bit more prolonged, but then again over time go back up, inevitably reaching lows that seem to about average out about 410, 420 GP. At the current time, they're 430, and as you can see, as little as just a couple months ago, they were actually lingering around 470 to 500 GP per one. Currently, we're at a low. With summer coming up, I see these going up again, and so overall, the low that they can go, as we've seen in the past, at the absolute lowest is 406. I'd say a relative low is probably about 410, 415, and potential future price could be anywhere from, I guess, 460 to 500, but we'll say 460 for a more conservative estimate. And then finally, this is probably, I guess, maybe my second favorite of the video. I typically don't rank them, but in times where I feel like two are just so far and away better than the others, I will do it just because, you know, I want you guys to be able to know a little bit as to what I think. But basically, the reason I like this so much is because I've seen the same exact thing happen to this at Zulrah. So grapes are just it's not the efficient way to cook, because one tick and karambwans is the efficient way to go about cooking, but this is the efficient way to cook if you don't want to absolutely just be insane. So typically grapes hold a pretty high value, and they held a high value here because they provide such good cooking XP compared to the alternatives, and they only ever really drop really low because of being dropped by monsters. So here we can see kind of what was the tail end of Zulrah before it ended up getting nerfed. Grapes were about 170 GP per one. That's the lowest they'd been up until that point, and then you can see as soon as Zulrah was nerfed and less people started going there, they just went through the roof up to 360 GP. Now I don't think that they could do that sort of thing here, because I don't see Vorkath really getting nerfed necessarily, but over time, as less people do Vorkath, they're going to go up in price. And since people can also make more GP per hour doing other things within the game, that means they're willing to spend more to do skills as well. So you would expect this to be able to go higher in the future. And after seeing what I've seen before with these, I really just do like the item. I think the lowest they could possibly go would be maybe 100 GP, and the potential future price, while it is 300 back here, I guess that's the absolute max. I really probably would see these hitting close to 200, 250 in the future, but you could have a potential ceiling of 350 depending on what happens with Vorkath and how Jagex goes about changing the metas within game. And so that is going to be it for me this video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. I know they're not the most entertaining videos because it's me just talking about graphs and stuff that I see going on in game, but for the people that do enjoy it, it is something that I feel like you guys really do have to take into account. And overall, it does kind of let you guys know as far as how I think about investing in items. So even if you don't like these items in particular, you can really just get an idea as far as what I'm looking for when I'm looking to invest in high volume items or even good like armor in the future. Like I have videos in the past on stuff like that. So really, you can actually learn from this even if you aren't someone that's investing or even someone that likes to invest in the stuff I talk about in my videos. it gives you a decent insight as to where I'm coming from. So if you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like. On top of that, if you guys have anything you want to tell me, comment that down below. I don't often shout it out, but feel free to join the clan chat, large EXP lamp in game. I'll probably be streaming a lot in the future as well, so check that out below too. And yeah, ultimately, if you guys enjoy the content, make sure to hit that sub button. But with that said though, hopefully you guys do have a wonderful day, and peace.